Where do I look? Do I look at the chair? Do I look at you? Do I look at the camera?
Look at me. I think that's the best one. Yeah.
You or the camera?
Me.
Right, okay. I think for me, the first two key areas that I look at is the processes and the capabilities. Processes, because a lot of companies, brands have processes in place. You know, they're working with internal functions, they're working with external agencies. Some of them have been around for months, even years. And they haven't actually grown with the business, especially if the business is moving from one model to a different model. The second one is the capabilities. The capabilities is actually looking at the teams themselves, looking at the teams, what they're doing today, how they're doing it, look at the growth trajectory of the business, and do the capabilities match that growth trajectory. A lot of businesses, they've hired a lot of people, they've hired a lot of resources, they've built up teams in-house, yet they haven't developed them, or they're looking to develop them, but they don't know how to develop them. And that's what I do. I actually sit down with the senior level teams, understand, okay, what is that growth plan? What is growth for them? Is it financial growth, or is it another form? And understand, okay, what is that product roadmap? And then put all of them together and look at the resources that I have and say, okay, how do we build up on them? And that's something I've always prided myself on, is always mentoring as well. When I sit down with the teams, it's not like I'm coming in and actually just giving them a role to do and get on with the role. I actually want them to learn and grow within the role as well, develop themselves, and challenge me to a certain degree as well. You know, ask me questions about my experience so I can feed that back to them. I think the first 30 days as an interim in any organizations are critical and paramount for the success, because you've got to assess very quickly where the business is now. Normally they have their own growth plans and growth trajectories to understand where they want to get to, and also to a certain degree integrate a certain level of aspiration as well, you know, to what's going to take them to the next level, and then looking at, okay, how can we actually get them there? And how can we get them there very quickly? A lot of brands today, they've understood that they need to build both elements up, so the bricks and mortar plus the online or the e-commerce element. A lot of brands are actually building those bridges together and creating experiences. However, I feel that they're still creating them independently. They're not actually looking at the customer funnel to understand, okay, at what point in time should we be building an online experience versus an offline experience, and how do we actually put a fine line between the two and make sure that we actually address the customer's needs. The economies are changing, so we had the millennials before, now we've got Generation Z. Gen Z is completely different from the millennials, how they think in store, how they shop in store, and how they shop online. Whereas the millennials were more focused towards the online environment, the Gen Zs are now focused on the offline, the in-store environment, but not just over the stores as well, but also the brand itself, the brand experience, looking at things like sustainability, looking at things like waste and recycling. Now they've addressed a completely different business model here. They've disrupted their own business model for Gen Z.